What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon E, and we on here on Keeping Up with the Joneses podcast, episode 2. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on here once again. And once again, I have my lovely kids in the building. I got my son, you know what I'm saying, Mr. I invented sex, Mr. Dove, DOV3. That's not Dove. That's not Dove. Three like everybody's saying. It's called Dove. You know what I'm saying? So I got Javon, the Cream Jones in the building. You know what I'm saying? What's up, man?
What's going on? What's going on? Just happy to be here today.
And then also, I got my lovely model, beautiful daughter. Make the men go crazy. You know what I'm saying? All that good stuff. Indy Laree in the building. What's up? Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? So tonight, man, we're going to talk about a couple of things. Well, first and foremost, we're going to get into, I got Steve in the building already. Don't be cutting up, Steve. You know what I'm saying? What do you say? Tell he already getting on you.
Lord.
Already.
I'm happy, boy.
Yeah. So anyway, tonight, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about the disconnect between basically the music industry, as far as like the disconnect between the music culture from generation to generation. So I'm gonna let Cream, because he came up with the topic. So I'm gonna let Cream come up talk about this first, and you give me your perspective on what you feel about it, and then we go from there.
So, basically, like a reason I brought it up, I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and we was just basically having a conversation about music or whatever, just what I'm saying, what's going on right now and everything, and like the landscape and who's hot, who's not, or whatever. And they brought up they basically said that, hey, have you ever thought that music at this point is subjective? And I was like, what you mean? He was like, just because you think that this artist is the best rapper doesn't mean that they might be the best rapper. And the reason why I brought up disconnect, not necessarily because our music is worse or better than y'all's, but more so, I feel like at this point, I feel like at this point, the music has evolved so much that there shouldn't even necessarily be a debate about Jordan versus LeBron James, if that makes sense. If you get where I'm going with this. Like,
yeah,
there shouldn't be no reason why we could, you know what I'm saying? Like, there should be no reason why I can't put this just for the sake of my generation, I'll say, there should be no reason why I can't put a J. Cole at number 1 because you say Rakim is better. Or, you know what I'm saying? We can't put, or we can't say that Drake is the best rapper, but we can't say Drake is the best rapper because he had ghostwriters, but Puff has hits. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why. So basically what I'm saying is, like, it's a lot of rules and regulations and certain things that we have to abide by when it comes down to the culture, that we feel like it should, at this point, just like any other rule when it comes down to any other sport, there should be a discussion where there's like, okay, at this point, this rule should be in place with this or that. It started to look like rebellion from our generation versus us just trying to evolve the sound. Like, okay, this sounds good, but what if we did it like this? Now it looks like we're rebelling against the sound versus just trying to help it change and grow and stay relevant.
Okay. So, Indy, what you think about that?
Can I see myself no more?
We can hear you.
Y'all can hear me? Okay, well, I'm gonna face it in a minute. I'm done talking, but I really feel like there is no disconnect. I feel like y'all was raunchy, we raunchy. Like it's really no disconnect. The same thing that y'all was rapping and singing about is the same thing that we rapping and singing about. It's just, I just feel like because y'all basically watched, I guess, this generation grow up, that y'all still feel like, okay, well, they too young to be talking about that, or how they know about that already and stuff like that. So that's what I feel like, that's where the disconnect comes. Y'all feel like,
Yeah.
I think it's because y'all seen us grow up, and it's just kind of hard for y'all to look at kids that y'all seen grow up rap like that and sing like that, but really it's the same music, because this music been around since the 1930s. I heard a man talking about a white lady in a song, real raunchy. So it's just like this music been around. It's just, I guess because it's our generation, y'all feel like it's a big deal, but it's really the same thing.
Okay. So the way I feel about it, and the way you putting it, the way both of y'all putting it is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this show is because back when I grew up, it was our mothers and grandmothers who didn't like what the music we was listening to. Because you got to think, when I was probably even younger than y'all, rap had just probably become a mainstay in the music. And of course, Run DMC was even getting blasted, and Run DMC really, if you know Run DMC, they didn't curse in their music. They really wasn't raunchy. Their music was like good, feel good party music, and even they was kind of like frowned upon at the time. Heavy D, LL, all these artists was frowned upon at the time because our old heads didn't understand what we were listening to. Even though rap comes from scat back music and all that kind of stuff from their generation, so rap comes from a different origin, and they just made up their own kind of style of doing it back in the 70s and 80s. So I think the main thing when you talking about the raunchiness of the music was it was that thing of we try to kind of like make you think about what you listening to. Like, yeah, like if you take a song like Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing, he talking about making love to a woman, but the way he did it wasn't so straightforward. And so at the end of the day, it's like you don't necessarily have to always be so raunchy on every song and so vulgar on every song to get your point across. So I think that's kind of the one thing you talk about that type of music. When you start talking about some of the other type of music, like the mumble rap and the certain artists that sound, I think the reason why we got so many bad artists now because there's so many artists can get into the industry. So I was talking to this with me and Jacob was talking about this earlier today. I said, well, you can't blame the artists for being as bad as they are just on them. You have to blame it on the industry. And what I mean by that is, and somebody made a reference to this about basketball yesterday. If I'm going to give you $30-40 million and you don't have to earn it, why should I work any harder than what I'm working? So
Yeah.
if an artist goes and take their record to an A&R, and an A&R is going to set that record just because it's hot on YouTube, they're not forcing them to say, I'm not taking this whack record. Why should the artist change their music? So if it was back in the day where artists had to go, even as you could actually walk up to a studio or walk up to a record label back in the day in New York or whatever, and walk into a record label and hand them your record, or walk up to an executive on the street and hand them your tape. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if your record was whack, they would tell your record was whack. They wouldn't just automatically sign you because, oh well, because of course we didn't have social media, but they're not gonna just go off of that. They're gonna go off if they really feeling you. That's why you had
Right.
certain labels like Loud and Def Jam and Rockefeller, and they had quality artists. Like most of those labels, you didn't have a terrible artist. Now you have a lot of labels who sign artists, and maybe 2 out of the 10 people on the roster is worth they salt. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's kind of the reason why I feel like there's the gap in the generation, because it's not necessarily y'all fault that you have such bad music at times. It's more the industry themselves who gotten lazy.
Can I add this? Uh I heard what you said earlier when you was talking about just to go back to the rock music. Um the reason why I say I feel like I get what India's saying when she said she don't feel like there's no disconnect, but I feel like that's where the disconnect is. And what I'm saying is how she said, yeah, just like y'all had raunchy music, I raunchy music or whatever, and you was like, well, our raunchy music was this, this, and this, but
Raunchy is raunchy to me.
Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, doggone Adina Howard, R. Kelly, Jodeci, I can go on. It's a lot of people from y'all era that when you just turn on their music, you can't listen to that music around nobody but yourself because of how raunchy or how nasty it is off the gate. Out the gate. Like we might have lines like, of course, like you know what I'm saying, when it comes down to a couple female rappers, you know what I'm saying, they singles might be a little raunchy or whatever. But that came from y'all. Like, even when it comes down to gangster rap has hasn't gotten back to a point now where, you know, it's about to die again. But it became popular again, just like it did in the early 2000s, just like it did in the early 90s. Because that's where it came from. It came from a era where it wasn't good. It wasn't a positive thing to do. So then when people started doing it, started getting arrested. They started getting protested. They started rioting and all that. Y'all basically fought for a lot of stuff that y'all didn't realize y'all fought for us to keep around. So the gangster rap, the raunchy music, certain stuff y'all fought for yourselves. Y'all generation fought for, went to jail, got beat up for, you know what I'm saying, got spit on for, kicked out of clubs because this is the type of music that y'all wanted to make and y'all wasn't going to stop until somebody respected that.
Well, before India jump in, let me respond to Jermaine Carter. Appreciate you, brother, for coming on. Those he says those same labels are signing these artists though. So let me correct you on something. Yes, the same labels are signing those artists, but it's not the same people. Most of these labels don't have the same CEOs. They don't have the same A&Rs. They don't have the same people running these labels. Most of these people nowadays that's running these labels are probably people straight out of college who don't even know nothing about the industry, who didn't grow up in the culture, who doesn't really understand, a street, whatever street you can name in New York or Bankhead or a street in Florida or Compton. They don't really understand the culture. So all they really doing is going off of they're gonna go online, they're gonna go on YouTube, they're gonna go on Spotify, they're gonna go on all these different platforms. They're gonna see who's hot, they're gonna see who's trending, they're gonna see what the actual fans are saying about those artists, and they're gonna sign those artists based off of that. They're not signing these artists based off of what they're seeing with their own eyes. So if you got a Steve Rifkin was signing artists based off of what he heard and what he seen. He didn't sign Wu-Tang off because Wu-Tang had a big following. He didn't sign Mobb Deep because Mobb Deep had a big following. You know what I'm saying? So he signed those artists because he believed in the actual talent and what they have. A lot of these artists nowadays, that's why so many one-hit wonders, because of artists that can't really make great music. If you take a Lil Nas X don't make great music. He's a gimmick, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Now people might get mad when I say that because of what he comes from, but he's a gimmick. You know what I'm saying? That's what he is. He's not a real artist because first of all, his song that blew up, you know what I'm saying, didn't blow up because of him. It blew up the way it did. It blew up a little bit, but it went to a whole nother level because of a country single. You know what I'm saying? And then he took his gimmick of being this gay man all of a sudden, and everybody just ran with it, and he overdid it, and people loved it. And I'm saying, but nobody never talks about the music with Lil Nas X. They just talk about what you see on stage and when he dresses up on Sprite commercials. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, India.
I feel like people get signed now just because, like, if they fit the appearance. Like, I just feel like they not gonna sign. You rarely seen a dark skinned skinny girl getting signed. You rarely see that, but you'll see a light skinned thick girl get signed, and her music sound like garbage. So you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like Amaretta, I feel like I don't know if you know Amaretta, but she really been working her butt off. But because she's black and skinny, like she's dark skinned and skinny, they're not gonna sign her. Whereas far as this Ice Spice girl, her music sounds like straight garbage. But because she has that look of the light skinned girl with the BBL, or if it's natural, I don't know, they're gonna sign her just off of that. So that's disconnect too. Like back then, you can actually be good at what you do and get signed. But now, as long as you have the look and you sound like you can spit something, all right, we're gonna sign you. But really, like they is trash. That's the disconnect.
Same thing with the male artists. They're signing. It's like they're signing the pretty girls or the quote unquote pretty girls. You know what I'm saying? The standard pretty girl, and they signing the most rugged. You know what I'm saying? Dirtiest nigga they could find off the street that got a couple of guns because they want to create a narrative that in the black culture, thugs thugs and pretty girls only. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that's going on. Like you got to be pretty, or you got to be if you a dude, you got to be a thug. If you're a black female, you got to be pretty. You got to have a big butt. You do this, do that. You know, and like it's it's an image that they're trying to create. That's why a lot of little boys out here now, you know, that's another disconnect too. The there's a difference with the music now from back then when we were growing up. Like when I was 9, 10 years old, the hottest rappers in the game, like, yeah, of course we had Gucci Mane, we had Waka Flocka, we had certain artists, but the hottest artists in the game, which means the artists that we hear all the time, was like Drake, Rick Ross, Meek Mill, Wale, like, but in the songs they was put on the radio, they weren't crazy songs. Like there wasn't like songs about killing folks. There wasn't songs about a bunch of sex. It was just feel good tracks. Like, you know what I'm saying? The only way you'll hear some other stuff is you bought the album. Versus now, it's not even about the radio. It's more so about the access. Back then, if I heard my favorite song on the radio, I had to go back to the radio to go listen to it. Like I had to sit in the car and wait for that song to come back on. Or I had to go on my computer and search all night for the lyrics to figure out what song I just heard. Versus now, they hear a song in the car. It can be the clean version with their mama. They can pull their phone out, Shazam it. Oh, snap. All right, man, I might listen to that later. Now they got the dirty version of the song. So now they listening to stuff. Now they went off in their room. They listening to a whole bunch of music that they're not supposed to hear because they have more access to it than back then.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me say this. The address what Steve said when he said the gatekeepers don't want to let the new generation shine. And I don't really think that's the reason why they doing it. They more doing it because they feel like a lot of the new generation don't give the respect to the old generation. I mean, yeah, the new generation gets respect to the old generation. Back when rappers was coming up in the 80s and 90s or whatever, they always pay homage to the Grandmaster. Like if LL, he would pay homage to Grandmaster Flash or Furious Five or Herc and all them guys. Whereas, or Curtis Blow, whoever came before him or paved the way. You know what I'm saying? And then this generation, a lot of them will tell you, "Oh, I never listened to this artist. Or I don't know who that is, or they not relevant no more." And it's about, it's not about even like when DJ Academics was out there talking about how the old rappers are dusty and this, that, and the third. Just because they not selling records and just because you don't see them, don't mean they don't have money. Don't mean they not out here doing shows. Don't mean they not out here being successful. Just because they not. That's just like a football player, basketball player when they retire. Don't mean they broke just because they left the game. They could still be, they might still be out there commentating, or they might be in real estate. They might be doing something else that you don't know, and might have more money than the players that's playing the game. So you just never know in that situation. But they're not to give them their respect is where the old heads, the old rappers will be like, you know what I mean? That's messed up that y'all not giving us the respect we deserve, and we paved the way for you to even be in this situation that you're in. You know what I'm saying? Now, and I think that most of and then the thing about it is how many of the new heads or whatever, the new artists, even pull old artists into their and go grab them and put them on a song. All these artists will go out here and remake all these songs, and they don't never like go back and put them on a remix or put them on or put them in a video or something until they getting threatened to be sued or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I think I ever heard a story when I think it was when what's the name, French Montana redid the Luke song. I think it was like, I think the only reason why he really went and grabbed him because he was threatened to be sued by him. So he eventually sent out an olive branch to pull him into the situation. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. So it's like it shouldn't take all that for the artist to automatically say, well, before I remix this song, even if I don't put him on the song, let me holler at him, see if we do a video for if he want to be on the video or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Just to give him, that look again, and you never know, that might put that artist back in the mix to be able to be great again. So I think that's the biggest thing with the old heads. When the new heads, it's like, help us and we'll help you or whatever type deal. And you just never know who the old heads might know, who they can get you to another level or put you in the building, put you in a room with a Jay. You know what I'm saying? Because a Jay-Z always moving around with some of these old artists. You know what I'm saying? But these new artists, they, in order for them to be in a room with certain people, maybe that old head got access to that. You never know if you don't never ask. And a lot of old heads will say all the time, they'll be like, well, the thing about it is the new generation don't never come to us and ask us anything. They don't never ask us for advice. You know what I'm saying? They don't never come up to us at all when we see them in public. So, so what you want us to do? But anyway, India, what you got things to say on that?
Oh no, I agree with y'all. I'm trying to figure out this camera.
Okay, so what you got to say about that, Tay?
Or
Cream?
Because I agree with you when it comes down to like I guess the respect levels. But the thing is, the reason why I can say and I can kind of defend why we acted a certain way after a while was because at first y'all came at us early. So what I mean by that, after certain things start to flip in the industry, what I mean by that is when people started losing money, so they had to start selling their catalogs and they started having to sell their brands. What they didn't realize was they were selling hip hop. They were selling our culture. So what happened after that was the music went through another transformation. So that's when I would say that's when Universal and Motown became one thing. So that was around 2009. So that's when Drake and all them came about. So this is when music really took a change for real, because it was in a dance era for around, from I'll say 2004 to 2008. It was in this dance era. It had to figure out its way again because now you just got out of another gangster era. So being that the gangster era ended with folks getting RICO charges, folks getting shot, other folks falling out, other folks dying. You know what I'm saying? Basically, hip hop wasn't looking good. So at this point, they had to take another stance where, okay, either we're gonna have to give this up or we're gonna lose everything. So that's when, of course, they did the collide or whatever. So that's when everything started becoming very picky and judgy with y'all. Like even when it come down to Drake. 10 years ago, y'all might have looked around and said, "Oh, the industry don't need Drake. We got Big Crit, we got J. Cole, we got Kendrick Lamar, Pusha T, we got Jay Electronica. We good. We don't need Drake. Drake can go. We got Wale, Big Sean. Good." 10 years later, out of that whole crew, Drake is the only one that's standing. And the old heads looking around like, dang, we kind of needed Drake, and we kind of need Drake now. What I'm saying about that is a lot of the folks that came early on in our generation, when I'm speaking on like the Drakes and the Kendricks and all that, they were the last little piece that had that old school respect, and it was evident in their music. So when you talking about a Chance the Rapper, his favorite rapper was the Kanye West. So you heard the influence. J. Cole, his favorite rapper was Nas. So you heard Kendrick with Tupac. You know what I'm saying? Like they all had their own representations of who they wanted to represent in their music. Even with Drake and the Jay-Z, even though he didn't streets, he still his delivery was similar to Jay's when he first came about. So, but a lot of old heads was like, nah, we ain't taking Drake. Nah, we ain't taking Big Sean. Sean, he corny. Nah, we ain't taking Kendrick. He corny too. Nah, we ain't taking J. Cole. This was all at the beginning. So as time went on and hip hop started to change a little bit more, especially artists like Kendrick, he started looking at it like, y'all don't care about what the music does anyway, so what's the point of me even being here? J. Cole started talking about retiring. Big Crit started falling out of love with hip hop. He started making R&B music because it got to a point where it was like the folks that's over us don't even respect us. So why do we to even continue to hold this torch up or even try to get their attention? So that's when you got the rebellious kids. So that's when you got the Lil Yachty's, you got the Lil Uzi Verts, you got 21 Savage, you got the folks that came in after that was like, you said LL who? No, I did this because I need to get out the streets. I ain't do this because I don't care about no Run DMC. Who's Curtis Blow? Why are you telling me about these folks? These folks don't matter. I don't rap like them. I don't talk like them. I don't walk like them. I'm not from the same block they from. That don't matter to me. Relevant. So you go from us being respectful to us turning into rebellions because now it's gotten to a point where it was like, so what? You done let us in now. You done let the bad guys in. So now we gonna show y'all why y'all shouldn't have done what y'all did. So it's like now we got the rebellious generation coming in talking about, nah, this is ours now. Kind of like 50.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say this when it comes to like Drake. Drake reminds me a lot of like LeBron. And what I mean by that is Drake is one of those artists that's been super successful, but it's always if, it's always an asterisk by his career. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So it's always a reason to bash him, even though he's been the most successful probably artist of his generation or whatever. And he's been going for so long. Like nobody's had a run like Drake, like ever in rap. You know what I'm saying? Not even Jay-Z reign at the top, like to be the number one guy what's been as long as Drake's been. You know what I'm saying? You could say it's social media, you could say whatever you want to say, but the proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? He has the longest run out of everybody. Is he the greatest of all time? You know what I'm saying? That's up for debate, just like any other debate. But so I think when it comes, but I think what I heard Ed Lover say this in the interview. Ed Lover said the thing about with the new rappers or certain rappers that always getting in trouble, always in the spotlight for some BS, that they need to follow the blueprint of Drake. Because Drake has been the most hottest rapper for a very long time. Everybody knows him probably from old people to kids, and he doesn't get in trouble. He doesn't put, he might have a baby mama, a little drama or whatever, but he doesn't get into stuff where it's going to get him killed or put in prison or all this dumb mess that goes on. So, and you know what I mean? And the newer rappers keep putting themselves in situation after situation after situation. And I don't understand why they keep feeling like they have to be even some of the older rappers like a Bootsy and like the Bootsy and T.I. thing is driving me crazy. Because I'm like, so y'all beefing over the fact that T.I. snitched on a dead cousin over a gun charge. I'm like, what does that ain't have nothing to do with the streets like that? Like, what is that? What does that have to do with anything? So you gonna miss out on a bag because of that? Like, and first of all, y'all too old to be sitting here beefing over that. You know what I'm saying? So that don't even make any sense to me. So our generation we have to grow up too. Like we have people in our generation, Jay Prince and all these guys, they got to grow up. They too old to be sitting here on social media beefing with these young people. Because these young people don't care. They'll shoot you and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? They don't really care. So at the end of the day, we have to start setting an example of what we want y'all to do and how we want y'all to look. But if our old heads gonna keep being on social media and arguing back and forth with y'all instead of saying, you know what, we not gonna come to your level. We're not gonna do what y'all doing. Let's sit down and have a conversation behind closed doors. Everybody don't gotta know that Jay Prince sat down with the Migos or sat down with this one or that one and we squashed it. A true old head, you know what a true old head to say? A true old head to say, well, I sat down with Offset, we squashed it, we good. And people say, well, what y'all talk about? It don't matter. We straight. That's all y'all need to know.
Right.
You know what I'm
That's
saying? But
that's
we
the
do.
thing, like
We
a lot
gotta
of
be
old niggas, y'all stoop down to our level, and it's like y'all expect us to respect y'all, but if y'all trying to disrespect me as if we the same age, like that, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no coming from that. Y'all always quick to come down to our level and then be surprised by our reaction, and it doesn't make sense. I just feel like if y'all keep that, you know what I'm saying, keep that the different levels that we're on, like you on the old generation, we're on younger generation. If you keep that level of what you're on, then we'll be good. Like we'll be able to.
hello, you go? What happened?
That
She went
that's it.
out? Oh, she must have went out for a second. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree. I do. I feel like we have to do better, and that's the whole purpose of this bridging the gap. Because we have to understand that if we want y'all to respect us, then we have to understand that we can't. Like our generation, our old heads didn't respond to us in the way we would respond to them. So in other words, they gonna keep it at a certain level, and y'all gonna respect the level that we keep it at. They're not gonna come to our level and be arguing with us down here on this level. It's like
Right.
even though it was that do what I say, not as I do type situation, but at the same time they moved a certain way. Because most of our older heads, by the time they got to that age, most of them was all in church. They was all doing something else. They was moving in a different way. They wasn't trying to party with us. You know what I mean? I didn't go to the club with my mama and you know what I'm saying, and all that kind of stuff. Like most of the older heads was moving in a whole different direction. So you had to respect them because all you really seen them was working or whatever for the most part and doing what they was doing. But
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So
And it's
but
a
I
it's another embrace of love too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just we got, we got a little taste of the old generation before a lot of them, passed on or whatever. Like it was different embrace. Like it was a different type of love that was there. Like, you know, even if we thought, dang, they not really gonna understand what we saying, it was easier for us a lot of times to go to older folks, grandparents, or what I'm saying, the older generation before our parents to talk to them about certain stuff because in a way I want to say I wouldn't even call y'all hypocrites. I would say y'all were the scared generation. Like y'all were scared about everything. What I mean by that is it was conversations, certain conversations, certain conversations like that that we couldn't, I'm saying, our generation couldn't have with our parents or whatever because the first reaction is overreaction. Oh well, no, we can't talk about that. Or we either had the overreacting parents, we had the parents that had the quick hands. So we asked them a question, they slapped us in the face. You know what I'm saying? Or we got the parents that or it's three types. Or we had last type, we have the over religious type parents. So and like, well, I got this going on. I don't know what's going on. Take it to Jesus. He'll fix it. You know what I'm saying? So like it's like the reason, and then you know what I'm saying, of course this correlates even this even correlates back to our mental health. That's why we're so in our heads now. Like we trying to figure out certain stuff because it was certain questions that we need to ask y'all or certain things that we need to know that we felt like the older generation, even if they didn't give us the answer, they could still give us a solution of something like, okay, let me connect what I might know about what I've been through and let me give it to you on this level. Versus y'all, I think a lot of y'all was still going through y'all life. So a lot of stuff y'all didn't have answers to, so y'all just kind of pushed it under the rug because we were kids. You know what I'm saying? Or our generation, you know, we were kids, so it was like, nah, well, you'll just find out later.
Well, I think too because y'all you were so advanced at such a young age that you was asking adult questions when you was 3, 4 years old, and me and your mama was kind of looking at like, where is this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so we didn't really understand like how does this boy know these type of things? Because at that time, you wasn't getting it, and you got exposed probably earlier than I wanted you to,
Mm-hmm.
but I really wasn't. I was still young myself, so I didn't even understand that I was really exposing you to a lot of things that you wasn't supposed to be seeing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, or whatever. So, by the time I realized you was getting exposed to certain things, it was kind of like the cat was out the bag, so I got to go with it now. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I wasn't like, because we didn't really do the whole, put the lock on the TV and the pin codes and all that kind of stuff. We didn't really do all that. We just try to sit y'all in front of cartoons and thinking that was it. Like, that's all we got to do. And, of course, I'm in the car probably listening to rap and listening to certain music. That's why you knew
Mm-hmm.
about Jay-Z and Biggie and Nas and all them so early, because you heard me playing that in the car. And, I'm just kind of like, act almost like you wasn't in there. Like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
he not really listening to it, so or whatever. So I'm just doing me. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I was at such a young age, you know what I mean, or whatever, that I say more of an immature part of my life, not really young, because I was
Yeah.
what 24, 25 when I had you. So I was just at an immature part of my life where I didn't really understand that whole thing of how to be a dad and what to do, because I wasn't exposed to having a father. You know what I'm saying? That to teach me certain things. So it's just like I'm just going along in life. But to go back to what Steve was saying about the lingo, like the Too Short, and you was talking about with the Snoop Dogg and all that, you 100% correct. A lot of the raunchiness, because even when Dr. Dre and Death Row came around and was doing the type of music they was doing, they was the one that kind of forced the industry to push out Big Daddy Kane and push out
Yeah.
Kwame and push out certain artists. And certain artists started to lose their steam because of the surgence of the Death Row, or whatever, and Biggie and Nas and all of them, because they just like, oh, it's no room for this anymore. And I think we're the kind of the only industry that doesn't allow everybody to have room. That's why
Yeah.
it's so competitive. And that's why it's so hard to kind of like go from one level to another level to another level. And people want to say you Illuminati if you do make it to another level. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I really want to ask you about that too, being that you was kind of heavy into it in the game. What is your feeling on that? Like, I was talking about this the other night on Facebook. I said I don't like how every time one of us get ahead, whether it's an Oprah or a Tyler Perry or a Jay-Z or a LeBron or whoever goes to that height of all heights, oh, they got to be Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, how do we even know Illuminati is real? And somebody got to get on my case. Well, we know it's real because this, that, and the third. And I'm like, I'm not saying it literally like from a standpoint of how we know it's real. I'm saying from people who say this, how do you even know it's real? Because most people who
Right.
yell that out haven't done any studying, don't really know. They just going off of what they heard in the industry about the Illuminati. You know what I'm saying? It's not like people walking around with shirts on that say Illuminati and say I'm the grand poobah of the Illuminati. I'm the head honcho of the Illuminati. Ain't not like people
Right.
run around saying that. And the people that we know, family members or whatever, that's part of that whole Illuminati or Mason thing, they don't talk about it. People Illuminati that really that go to the meetings every week and do all the activities that's attached to the Illuminati, they don't talk about it. You ask them about it, they're not gonna tell you not one word.
And
I was in a guy in the military. I was with a white guy that was a Mason. That he wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't tell me nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? So
that should get,
you got to offer this one.
like, cause basically from what I've gotten from the cause I've been looking into it since, cause when we were little it used to be like videos, you know what I'm saying, about certain folks, you know what I'm saying. I've been since I've known about Kanye and Jay-Z, it's been Illuminati stuff, you know what I'm saying. But like basically, um it's and this is why I say Jay-Z is to me, in my opinion, he's the greatest rapper to ever live, and he's the smartest rapper because when he heard the rumors of the Illuminati, instead of him in a way kind of pushing it off and saying, nah, that's not what's going on, he fed into it. Like you said, people are part of secret societies. They don't talk about it. They don't have discussions about it. They don't sit in public. And Jay-Z capitalized off of people saying that he's an Illuminati. So every time he gets on a record, or every time he does something at this point, think about it. His whole persona. And the reason why I'm using Jay-Z is because Jay-Z is the most prominent figure when it comes down to the Illuminati conversation. So, yeah. So basically, if we're talking about the rules of Illuminati, one of the rules is to sacrifice. And you have to sacrifice somebody that's prominent in your life. Out of everybody that has been quote unquote, you know what I'm saying, they have been supposedly a part of Illuminati. Jay-Z is one artist that does not have any sacrifices around him, but he's the most successful one. Mm-hmm. Nobody has, if anything, more people have become more successful being around Jay-Z. So, but basically, when it comes down to like basically the conversation or whatever, that's why if you think about what Jay-Z stands for, Jay-Z, his whole persona was Jesus. And I know that sounds crazy, but here's why I'm saying that. Like, what, of course it's real, but like here's where I'm going with it. So a lot of the things that he does already, people don't agree with. So if you look at his music, if you listen to his music, look at his videos, look at how he does certain things. Even the last performance he did, where he did the 5-minute verse on the Grammys, they're sitting at a table with 6 seats, and he's in the middle, sitting at like it's the Last Supper or whatever. Mm-hmm. This whole time, basically, he's saying, okay. Basically, Jay-Z is the example of if you like it, I love it. Whatever you believe is true about me is true. Whatever they say that whatever they believe that is told about me is true. So he feeds into a lot of things going on. Even Beyonce, she gathered along too. She started feeding into it. Oh, okay. So if y'all believe that I'm Illuminati, if y'all believe that I'm so powerful, bow down to me. I'm the queen now. Since y'all believe that, since y'all as black people believe that, because it's really the black culture. Because white culture, they feeding off of that. Oh, they think they're Illuminati. That means they go sell more records. That means they think that they're more powerful than who they are. That's why J. Cole's. That's why people think J. Cole's so powerful, because they believe that he's a part of Illuminati, or Rihanna. Basically, that conversation for in our eyes, you know what I'm saying, on the other side, a lot of fans look at it as negative. But when a black artist is when Illuminati is put upon their brand or their name, it makes that artist richer. Because now a lot of fans, they're so brainwashed, or they're so dim-witted that they don't realize that they just gave this person more power. So now they're thinking, oh, since they're Illuminati, we got to go do this, or we got to do that. That's why Kanye stayed so hot for so long. Kanye West would have fell off in 2013 if it wasn't for the claims of the Illuminati. But because people claim that he's Illuminati so much, they believe that he's so powerful that they got to go buy every single album that Kanye drops.
So Andy, what you think about that? Andy still there? No, he must have fell off. Well, I mean, I say this. I think that basically when it comes to Jay-Z and when it comes to the whole Illuminati thing, I think that the biggest issue of it is when they start talking about the sacrifice thing. And the reason why I don't like the sacrifice thing is because I feel like people give the Illuminati way too much credit. So it's almost like saying, well, they trump God. You know what I'm saying? Like all these people who made it, it's all because of somebody else besides God. And then what I don't like about it is when people say that these people made it because of Illuminati, but they don't look at the work they put in. They don't look at the time and the effort it took to get there or whatever. Now, I will say this, the biggest problem about this generation today is that if you look at like the Atlanta sound in general, the Atlanta sound, even though they've been the most successful over the last 20 years, they've almost ruined the industry by themselves single-handedly. And I know a lot of people in Atlanta going to say they're going to be mad why I say this, because most Atlanta artists sound exactly the same. And we talked about this last week. So then what happened was they created a blueprint that went around to other markets. It went to Chicago, you know what I'm saying? It went to probably the New York. New York don't sound like the old New York because of everybody wanting to sound the same. When Pop Smokes died, I could have sworn I heard 10 Pop Smokes on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody sound like Pop Smoke and sound like what's my man name? Fabio Foreign.
Well,
I don't know Fabio Foreign from the other rappers in New York.
Can I add to that? The reason why that happened is because Pop Smoke was the new standard for New York hip hop. When he died, he wasn't able to basically capitalize or help the sound evolve. So basically at that point, a bunch of random artists started running around, started using the sound or whatever, and now it's unbaked. You know what I'm saying? It's half baked. It's not the full sound that Pop wanted. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't here to help it evolve. So now it's just going into, it's basically dying in a way, if that makes sense. But it's like growing, but it's more of it, but it's so much of it that it's going to die.
Yeah. I mean, and I believe that too. So I think that's the biggest problem. That's why J. Cole and Kendrick was able to take off the way they did, because they came so different than everybody else at the time they came out. Because I even talk about from people in my generation or whatever, and we always talk about would J. Cole and Kendrick be as hot back in the 90s and early 90s, even late, probably I say even late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, would they be as hot as they are now? And most people I say would say no. Even though they're lyrical and they have great content, they don't even have, their swag is not even what they was back in the 90s. 90s had a flash, either you was flashy or you was gutter or you was something. Like if you look at J. Cole, you look at Kendrick, they kind of just like, you know what I'm saying? So to me, most of us think they would be Common, or they'd be Talib Khalib, or they would be one of those type of rappers, a backpack rapper. They wouldn't be like the biggest rappers in the world back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So to me, if you look at them now, you kind of almost say like all Kendrick and J. Cole somewhat overrated. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, to a certain degree. You know what I mean? In most of the songs, you don't hear, you know how you hear a Biggie song or a Jay song or a Nas song on the radio? You don't hear J. Cole, or you don't hear a lot of Kendrick music on the radio with everybody else like now. So if they were so legendary, even the stuff they did 10 years ago would still be playing on the radio on the regular. And you don't really get that. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, man, we had another great show. I apologize. We're gonna get India's camera right. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. We're gonna get her right. You know what I mean? So, but but that's all good. We had another great show, another great topic. Y'all keep following, or whatever. And then, basically we're gonna see y'all next week, same time, same bat station, if God willing. And we're just gonna keep making it do what it do. It's another episode of Keeping Up with the Joneses. And if y'all want to, if y'all got a hot topic for us that y'all want us to do, send comments or whatever. If y'all want us to talk about something specifically that y'all want us to talk about or whatever, if y'all want to be a guest on the show to talk about whatever, send me a comment or a DM and we'll get you on the show. We're trying to get these first few shows out the way so we can kind of get a flow ourselves and get going. And then, eventually we're going to start having people come on here. We might even start having, what we're going to probably do, we've been talking about, is having a segment where we play music. We play we might even compare the music, the old music with the new music, or we have independent artist music, independent artists sing your music in MP3 style or MP4, and we'll play your song here on the show, and we'll critique your music. or whatever, so, because my son, he's a producer, engineer, artist himself. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the industry for a minute. You never know who may be watching, who may be listening, who might want to work with you. So this might be your opportunity to be heard. So anyway, see y'all next time. We out of here.